Again, my name is Dr. Jay Brighton with Full Circle Coaching Consulting. Joining me today is a really motley fella.
Hey, Dr. Fraser Smith. And I was just thinking this is like a resurrection of our old podcast days, Jay.
Yeah, I hate to make time an excuse because one of the things that we preach is talking about having authentic time. But, I had this podcast. We had a lot of fun with it. And then eventually we had a breaking point. We're like, look, our time could use a little bit better, different/other, which probably leads well into our topic today.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, the topic is how to make choices in difficult or challenging times, right?
And you know what? I'm going to tweak it, not just to make choices, but how to be inspired and make difficult choices under stress. So I'm going to double down on the topic today.
Bingo. That's perfect. So, I mean, do we want to go through the fundamentals? Or let's chat. We talked about the podcast and a lot of people love the podcast, but Jay and I were looking at it and it took a tremendous amount of time, particularly Jay was trying to edit it all. And it was massively time consuming. And as a point, we had to look at it in terms of values, right? So let's talk about one of the most important things in making choices.
Well, and to speaking to the values issue, if you value this topic, if you value things like this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below here. It's really important for us. And leave us a comment and let us know if this is something that you want to hear more or less of, and interact with us. We really want to be available to talk about these things and address it to you specifically. So again, if you value this, and if you value this topic, hit the subscribe button down below here and hit the little bell so you get alerts when these come out. These come out every single week. We have a new topic every single week. Sometimes we've got 3-minute videos and sometimes we've got 45-minute videos. So if you're a little bit ADD like I am, I want like a 3-minute video, just tell me what to do. but sometimes
and tell us if you like the format, right? If the coach to coach kind of format back and forth.
Exactly.
So let's talk values.
So my wife and I had this idea. We're chiropractors. And I remember it was a short time ago, and I said, "Hey, Fraser, if you had X amount of dollars, wouldn't you just kind of sail off into the sun?" And I remember your response was,
"Not a chance."
Not hard.
Hard no, because I've already experienced. I tried that once. I think I had a few years back. I had a wonderful 2-week break, and we live in a pretty dream house. Okay. We manifested our dream life and dream house and all that stuff. So ironically, I live on the lake, so I wanted to be like a cottage for 2 weeks. We just hung out. Right. And by the end of the 2 weeks, my wife was like so happy I was going back to work. and I was like, wait a minute, this is going to be what kind of like retirement is supposed to be like. Right. And so I was like, oh man, this is like crazy. So I really realized fundamentally at that point in my life that there's no way that I would ever retire. And it was a pretty radical departure from my initial concept of, save, nest egg, get your retirement wealth built up. And my goal was always 55 and go. And so I was on track. And then I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing that for?
So look at the message the universe sent you. That was, I'm thinking about retirement, and then COVID comes in and says, all right, here's retirement. How do you feel about this? It's a test, right? That stress tests your value system, tests your hierarchy of core values, and emphatically you kick back. Hey, this is going to change my trajectory, right?
And this was way before COVID hit. This was like years ago, but COVID was a nice little affirmation for me because before that, being involved in full circle and coaching and expanding that, COVID hit, my practice shut down. I'm on quarantine, but I'm coaching like crazy from home. And that was a good test for me, right? Can I get out of practice and coach and be satisfied? And I was very satisfied. I was connected with very high conscious people. So let's go back to how you make choices. Well,
I think hold on. So for me, so initially when you had your reset, you're like, yeah, I still want to be in practice, right? And now you had a second like forced vacation, and your mindset now is, Fraser, because this is mean, are you thinking like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to retire? Are you thinking like maybe eventually you pull the plug? Where's your thought process? Because again, all about making decisions. The universe is
Totally.
giving you.
Totally. So really clearly for me, retirement is not a part of, it's not in the lexicon that I will ever subscribe to, because, there's an old phrase that I learned years ago, as soon as you retire, you begin to expire, right? And I've seen this in clinical practice as a chiropractor, right? Patients of mine for years, they finally get to the point where they retire, and 2 years later they're dead, right? Or they're so broken they can't do anything. So I will never retire. I will always stay doing things that inspire me, and that's the key piece. And part of what I know, my purpose is to teach and inspire authenticity, right? Teach and inspire optimal human expression. And because that's so critical for me, that's my purpose. That's what I get up and I'm all about. Retirement and playing golf every day is not doing that. So I knew very clearly that I will be changing my dynamic and continuing to, I wouldn't say work, but be inspired and engaged. And I will not unplug and fully retire. I will be doing things that support my values, my dream, my vision, my purpose in a different form without question. But that'll enable me to do things with my family that I wanted to do, like travel and so on. But there's no question that my concept that I was going to unplug and, literally retire and golf and do whatever I thought I was going to do. That's not happening anymore, because I know myself better than that.
So what I heard you say was, paraphrasing, because you have to say things 3 times for somebody to actually hear it. I'm going to keep choosing to do things that inspire me and support my values.
Bingo.
But what we know is that we live in a society where there's a consistent bounce back and forth between challenge and support. And so what happens then when the inevitable, because we talk about support, I want a lover who supports me and I want to practice members who support me, but I want to focus a lot today on the other side of it, which is the equal and opposite part of the equation, which is the C word, challenge. Yep. So yes, we want things that support our core value system. However, will you listening to this video, choose to embrace and look at the direct messages to you that are given to your value system? It's a hidden support, but it comes as a challenge 100% of the time. If you're thinking, I want someone who supports me all the time, and look over my shoulder there's my wife. You think she supports me all the time? But our relationship is perfect in that we are consistently evolving and adapting the ways that we look at the challenge and supports of our marriage, looking at the ways the universe is consistently supporting us and indirectly giving us blessings through the challenges. So am I hearing you? I just want to be really clear, because it's so easy to get in this positive, pumped up mindset. Everything's got to be woo, woo, positive energy. Yep. But there's that piece, again, that I'm hopeful that we can really focus on for those watching here, that challenges don't have to suck, but it does take a significant amount of internal energy, of love, gratitude, and inspiration. You heard Fraser keep talking about inspiration, inspiration, inspiration. But when you are consistently doing that love, gratitude, inspiration, you're on point. You're living in your value system and only your value system. Any other emotion, for good and for bad, good, challenge and support, good and bad, it's just indicating that you don't fully understand exactly what's going on. So I'm just bringing that.
Yep, love it. I mean, because that's ultimately, I think one of the habits. So we're talking about making inspired decisions, right? Well, life is not all about support, as Jay just said, because if it's too soft and cushy, the universe is going to right that ship. You're going to attract the challenge, and we've seen this in our coaching careers. The attraction is like, the cancer, or it's a Mack truck, or it's something to right that ship.
It's not a metaphorical Mack truck. Like you have either put the work in, you either put the pain in and made a conscious choice, or you've subconsciously attracted like a physical or metaphorical Mack truck.
Absolutely. So, let's avoid the Mack trucks in the world. So what's one strategy that you can do with that?
And so here, I'll tell. So I wanted to just share my story where we're at right now, because I'm just filled with gratitude and inspiration, and I'm going to try not to cry. But this is my life right now. So my wife and I, about a year ago, thought about this retirement thing. Now, it isn't retirement. All it is hanging up our active practice shoes. So about a year ago, again, we had this conversation, Fraser, like, what would you take this amount of money and retire?
Mhm.
No, but then you tweak it. What would you take that same amount of money, hopefully a little more, and then move into a different phase of life? And our answer now is kind of, yeah. And so
Mhm.
Christina and I had a practice evaluation to find out what our baseline is. You have to, you cannot grow what you cannot measure, right? So we measured business, kind of liked where it was at, but didn't love it. Grew it a little bit, really liked it. Wouldn't exit on that number. So we set just a little bit higher bar that we would exit active practice on. This is, again, like a year ago. Practice sat, had one or two interviews, nothing moved forward. Finally, we say, all right, you know what? It's just like, I remember we're up in the bedroom, like, we're good here. We're in a good place. We've got good schools. We love our community. We're good here. And I mean, the minute we had, like, literally that week, guess what happens? Somebody shows up at our practice and says, hey, can I tour your practice? Well, yeah, sure. Whatever. We're good here. And then his partner shows up. And then the wife of that partner shows up. And so these people this week, after, long story made short, and lots of barriers along the way, have paid cash for our practice. So Christina and I have now actively retired from chiropractic practice. And all of our practice members are like, "Are you guys retired? You're retiring?" Because we're moving to Orlando, like we're moving to Florida. And so that's God's waiting room, right? That's
You got it. You know what I love about that is and I've had many experiences in my life that have played out exactly like that, right? Like, you do the work, you get prepared, you know, and then you're content because you know what? You've done the work, you've done the energy, you've set it up, you've got a vision, but then you're also letting go, and when you're pushing driving, sometimes it doesn't work. When you let go and you know it's balanced,
it's
then
just
the opportunities go up, right?
that's that's
All the
that's
That's how
it.
I met my wife this way. Unbelievable, right? Like,
And and and,
so
and,
that's another
and so I've never felt like woohoo excited about this. It's always like a whole bunch of, geez, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? And trusting more my divine feminine wife, for the universe to show us, for God to show us the way, for Mother Nature to show us the way. And then a series of things have happened since then. All of a sudden, like, her dream house just randomly shows up right at like the bottom of this market in COVID. Actually, we closed on a house. And the day that we closed on the house, the website, this never happens. I don't think you know this. That next day, we got an alert because we were subscribed to the alerts on the house. It showed over a 20% increase in the value of a house after the minute that we closed on it. Like,
wow.
we're like, holy cow! Like, we knew we were getting a good deal. We just didn't think we were getting like a six-figure, like, plus deal in equity. Like, holy
Wow.
cow! And
That's
just,
awesome.
and she knew from the most part, like, that's her house. And I was like, it's okay, whatever. And she's like, I had this vision. And so we flew to Orlando for the closing last week, right? So we closed on our house on a Friday. Then we spent Saturday and Sunday there sleeping in a house. We had a bed shipped there, so we slept on the floor on a bed and a couple suitcases. Um, and then on Monday we closed on the practice, and it was like, just like, whoa. We said we needed all these other things to line up. We needed our house to refinance so we could pull some cash out so we could move that into some investor deals in Florida. And then after our coach to coach call on Tuesday, the next day after our business closed, guy calls and says, our refi guy calls and says, you know what, I know this is devastating for you. And it was devastating, Fraser, to hear this. The
Yeah.
refinance isn't going to go through. They have Fannie and Freddie, like the U.S. lenders, have all these new regulations. And we're just like, oh, what in the F do we do? Because we're going to turn this house into a rental, but we need to lower the payment. We need to pull some cash out for some money to allow for this next phase of our life to manifest. So what do you do? Like we now have this difficult decision to make. And you've been here. We've all been here when you're like, what in the hell do I do? And the answer is nothing. The answer is you don't do anything for a moment. You take stock of your life. You look at your hierarchy of core values. You go to those people who you love and you trust. So I go to Fraser. I go to Tom. I go to my mother. I go to my wife. I have my best friend. I go to those people. And I dial back in and I say, here's what's going on. What am I not seeing? What do I do? Because that's what do I do? But the answer is actually more, why do I do it? And so when we sat with it a little bit, we kind of felt like Mother Nature and God working through us. And I said to my wife, I was like, this feeling innately, like the right thing to do is to actually sell the house. I feel like we need to sell this house, not turn it into a rental. And Christina goes, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I was feeling the same thing. I was just too afraid to talk to you about it. So now, like literally, here we are. That was Tuesday, and here we are on Friday, and we are cleaning the house like mad because we are listing the house for sale today. And what we thought we could get the house for, and what the realtor thinks we could get the house for, he's more optimistic than I was at my most optimistic. So, how do you make these decisions? It's more important why you make decisions. Get quiet.
That's so I mean, one of the things you said you did so well, and I think this is important, like fundamentally, if you're going to make an inspired decision, it's all about your why, right? It's about your why. And when frankly, the crap is hitting the fan, life is crazy, it's upside down, it's really important that you get still and quiet, seek counsel in your trusted advisors, the people you trust the most, but also, if you look at Tribe of Mentors, I love Tribe of Mentors, the book by, I'm blanking.
Yeah, it's a different name.
I got it in the back corner. Anyway, interviews, it'll come to me. Interviews 200 people, very successful in all the different fields. You got it?
Yeah,
anyway,
keep going.
One of the things that happens is consistently over and over. What do you do when you're in under stress? What do you do under challenge? Meditation. Stuff. More and more and more. Thank you.
It's Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss. So I've got copies of it because I give away to people. Just a momentary blank. I got multiple copies.
It's up next to the bed.
So the point is, go and get quiet, meditate, get clear on your purpose, get clear on your why, and that's going to help you guide you, right?
But also change the question too. Not what do I do, but ask this question instead, especially to your trusted mentors. What's the hidden blessing here? What's the message that I'm supposed to learn here? What do you see knowing about, and I love to ask this to my friends too. I'm thinking of doing this with knowing me consistently, the messages that I'm telling you and how I'm talking. Does this seem like this is consistent with who I am to be? Because sometimes you can't see yourself through all the fog, right? And sometimes it's difficult to say, all right, what's truly the message? Because you want to move into the next decision. You want to move into the next thing. But sometimes you just have to wait for God to move through you, to take stock. And in this case, with the house refinance, I could not see a path to success with selling our business and this refinance not going through. It was not conceivable. But there was, and here's the other thing, there was a delay with the HELOC. There was a delay with COVID. There was a delay with the appraiser who gives an astronomically low appraisal, gave us like 20% below market value appraisal. I actually feel a little bit guilty about it, but I filed a complaint against this guy because it was, I mean, for people who rely on that, it was just an unconscious number. It just wasn't responsible. But that delay led to another delay. Literally one day, probably a couple hours was the difference in us getting this refinance. And I knew it was going to be close, but I just couldn't conceive of not getting it. And now it's like, okay, that's the message. Now, here's the thing. Maybe it doesn't go through. Maybe the house deal doesn't go through in the end. And maybe I'm looking at this 2 months now thinking, darn good, didn't go through, because there could be another path here, right? There could be another way forward. Are you open enough to the fact that the universe is giving you another path to walk that you didn't plan for, that you didn't see? it's not that you're not planning for the thing to happen, but what provisions, you would never go on a long hike without sufficient provisions. So you plan for the worst, expect the best, and then the challenges are not in the way that they're on the way. And I know it's kind of a silly metaphor.
Well, that's the key. And I think sometimes when you're in the trench, you can't see up and what's around you. And I think one of the things is it's all about perspective, and perspective taking is really huge. And
it's a great
for
word.
me personally, I've got to literally get out of my head, and I got to get into that space where I can get quiet and I can literally get my 30,000 foot view of myself, get out of my, out of the trench where I'm in, sympathetic overdrive, don't know what's going on, and remove myself from that, look at the 30,000 foot view, because then all of a sudden something that looks like a massive roadblock maybe becomes a part of the process, right? It becomes part of the challenge that's going to make you stronger, better, make a different decision. So when I look at those things, I always look at what's the highest good here? How does it serve my purpose, right? Does it support my values? Number one, most important thing, right? Because I'll never go against my values.
What are your what are your core values, Fraser? People are listening to this, they can probably figure it out.
So family, optimal human potential, and financial abundance. Those are my 3 core values.
No surprise, I share 3 of those same core values with Fraser. And I just have a small tweak for travel and adventure, which of course, like here I am moving to like the home of like adventure, Orlando. The NBA season is restarting here in like, I don't know, no time at all. I just couldn't be more excited about it. From Milwaukee, my Bucks, they're number 1 seed. They're going to be in Orlando. I just like, no such thing as coincidence. Like, holy crap! Like,
Raptors 2-peat, brother. But anyway, let's go on.
You said perspective, Fraser, and there's one of my favorite authors. I've met him many times. He's just the nicest guy, Mike Dooley. He's got a great book called Infinite Possibilities. And if you have not subscribed to his really great free email drip, go to tut.com, TUT.com. He's got a great daily drip. And he's the first person. I actually took his coach's training class way back. I don't know if he still offers it. But this was like,
he's got a bunch of classes. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that one.
This was a 3-day class. He did it in Denver. I live in Colorado right now. Actually, after today, this room gets destroyed and packed up. This is like it. Like, Fraser, I thought this morning about canceling because I got so much stuff going on. Mild overwhelm. I'm like, you know what? This is the last time this office is going to look nice.
I love it. This is the final swan song here.
What it is. I don't want to lose this point because I'm in flow. Another great book, by the way, Flow. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Just Google the word flow. Csikszentmihalyi. It's a long, long story. I'm looking at it on my bookshelf over here. But Mihai Csikszentmihalyi on getting in flow state. And the short of it is you need to be tuned into your core values and living your core values to be in flow state. But another really good book. Mike Dooley's thing is thoughts become
things.
Yeah, you're my brother in arms here. Thoughts become things. That's his thing. I'm like, oh, man, if I just keep thinking about stuff long enough, then it will manifest. And that's the short of it. But here's the long of it. What happens is you keep thinking something over and over. Eventually, that thought then becomes a belief. And you don't even have to think about it anymore because you don't think about something, you believe it. If you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're whatever you are, you don't have to think about why you're that. It becomes a belief that this is the way that your government should work. Most Americans don't think about capitalism. It's just like, I'm an American and it's capitalism, right? That thought has become a belief on the best way that we govern our society now. But obviously people who aren't there, but majority of Americans are like, yeah, we're capitalist. Belief over and over again eventually becomes movement, becomes action, right? So when you believe something, you do something. That action then done over and over again eventually becomes a habit, right? Habits eventually become a manifestation in life. So that's the way that a thought becomes a thing. And he didn't necessarily, I don't know, maybe he didn't kind of go through those steps, but I was like, yeah, how does it actually, what actually happens? And that's the way it works. A thought repeated becomes a belief becomes a habit becomes an action. Like I don't have to think about, like, is working out good for me? Like that thought's long gone. I know that. Now I've got the habits and the rhythms and routines, actions, and eventually that manifests in weight loss or strength or endurance, whatever it is, right? So I think that's an important piece, again, going back to your core values and making decisions, and how you respond to challenges is how do you think about things, because that will manifest as a life lived.
So, and practical steps to make that happen, right? So think about this: vision boards. Get your vision board, put it in some place that you can see it every single day, and you look at it and you pay attention to it. In the mornings, make sure you do your affirmations, right? Make sure you've got clear affirmations that are affirming the way you choose to be and what you're choosing to manifest. Visualizations, that's part of your vision board, but also just visualize where do you see yourself. Okay, you want to visualize the place that you want to be, whether that's building your business, whether that's losing the weight, whether that's, whatever that is. You've got to take action to change that mindset in order to create the habits and the literally attract the things in your life that you want. So it just doesn't happen by accident, guys.
And so you said you have to take action to create change, or to create, to start changing the way you think about something. So I think that was important. What you said there, you have to develop anchors and rituals. So you have to have the thought that you want to be something different. Well, how are you going to get there? What anchors and rituals can I do on a regular basis to be, capital B-E, become a different version of myself? The human being, capital B, capital E, the human being requires there to be some sort of process that changes you to get there. There has to be some sort of thought process, some sort of consistent thing that you think over and over again becomes a habit. That habit then manifests. So Fraser's right. It doesn't always happen like that. You start thinking something, you got to start doing something. And so it does kind of bounce back and forth, but you do a whole bunch of this end, and then eventually it becomes things that are on this end, if that spectrum makes sense with how I'm working that there.
Yes, it does. I mean, because Jay, I think when I look at my life, right, and I look at some of the things that I really chose to, that I've accomplished or achieved, all of those things were visualized, thought out, strategized. They didn't just accidentally show up. Some of them felt like they accidentally showed up, but it's because I'd done all the action, preparation, everything in advance. So what is the expression? Luck is preparation combined with opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there it is. Luck doesn't exist without preparation and opportunity, seizing the moment and being aware.
And you know what the flip side of that is? When you're bored is when time meets an unprepared mind.
I love that.
So
I work that one on my kids.
Well, I told my daughter that all the time. She's, Daddy, I'm bored. And I said, well, you're not ready. You're not prepared. I'm not prepared for what? This time.
Child of a coach, eh?
My daughter's a kindergarten. You know what? Just with kids, they're listening. I tell you, I say something to my kid, and even when she's like in a moment of tearing, it's all you tell them, get back on your bike. There's nothing you can't do. I can't do it. The next day, my son, who's 4, oh, I can't do it. You want to hear my daughter say to him? Hunter,
exactly.
You can't do. I'm like, oh, be still my heart. Like, not only was she listening, but she regurgitated some of my crap. Like, it's amazing.
They are sponges. And so again, repetition. How many times you got to hear something? Well, at least 3. I often say 5 to 7, right? In terms of working with people, so I'm coaching with someone and they don't have a concept. Well, I know it's going to take 5 to 7 times, right? When I'm in my business and I've got a client, it's going to take 5 to 7 times going over the same material before they start to get it, right? Before they start to cement it.
So let me just talk a little bit about you and I, okay? So you and I share similar value systems. So it's really easy for me to go to Fraser for support. I'm not going to hang out with Fraser and expect a whole bunch of challenge organically, right? Like, we're not going to be hanging out and we're not going to have like challenging arguments because we share so many of the same value systems. All right. Now, my wife, who's got some different value systems for her, it's really easy for us to have challenge. Plus, there's proximity there, and proximity creates, what's the saying? Proximity creates indifference. So that's why you have date nights with your marriage. So in a moment of challenge and making challenging decisions, I think it's important to have, for me, somebody like Fraser, somebody like Tom, somebody like Dodie, who shares a similar value system, and I can plug into and say, what would you do in this situation? Now, the interesting piece I also want to point out, even because Fraser and I are so similar, we're also really different. So there are secondary core values that come after the primary that make our
Absolutely.
life a lot different. So do I want to live in Canada on the lake and water ski in balls cold ice water? No way. And I can't imagine Fraser wanted to live in Orlando in the middle of summer. So I think it's important to understand that don't ever look at somebody else's life and think that they've got it right or that you want their life. Your life was gifted to you for a reason. Your life is perfect in exactly the form it's in. The challenges are exactly what you need. You've attracted these challenges for a reason to make you a better person, a person more connected to your core values. Better is not a great word. A more authentic person, right? And
Exactly.
and authentic just means that you're true to yourself, you're true to your core values, that you don't let the familial, societal, and social stresses come in and push you around. So in a moment of challenge, I think it's important not to go find somebody who's got opposing viewpoints, because that will likely only push you further away from your most authentic self, and it will push you a little more out of balance instead of in the balance. Maybe in a moment, sorry, go ahead, Trace.
No, I think that's a really key point that we want to emphasize that right now, right? Because in a moment of major challenge, if you go to someone who is not in your core trusted tribe, right, that you have similar value systems with, you are going to experience more challenge. And what I loved what you said there, Jay, was then that actually pushes you away from your true authentic self. It pushes you away from your value system a little bit more, and it bleeds that real authentic piece away from you, right? Because that's what we see, right? What pulls people away? Guilt, fear, outside belief systems. So if you subordinate to someone else's belief system, you're certainly moving away from your true authentic self. And you don't want to do that in the middle of a challenge. You're already getting pushed away from your value system potentially. What you want to do is really see the gifts and the blessings within that and how they support your value system, or how you can adapt or take action to support your value system even further.
What I'm questioning right now about the way the world is, and hopefully, we look back on this and say I was wrong. I'm wondering how much of the societal belief of go home, stay home, watch Netflix now bleeds into that's the way we live, instead of our society being one about inspired action. I know people have been inspired to take action to stay home, and that has served their value systems, and certainly the government implemented. But now, as we get to a place of like opening things back up, like what can you really say? All right, now that I was home, who am I? Why am I? So I don't know what this looks like moving forward, but it gives me pause here in what do they call it? It's like this the work from home, like in the work from home, stay at home. Like how much of North America's identity has been suppressed, or the flip side is that how much, by forcing to stay home, have we now discovered about ourselves that we can bring to the world?
Bingo. I think there's just many people who sat down and watched Netflix and basically twiddled their thumbs because they're waiting to be told what to do. There's just as many people who got home and went, whoa, they're connecting with family. They're connecting with themselves again. They're trying to figuring these things out. And they're maybe realizing that, the world is so damn busy, but just because it's busy doesn't mean it's right. It's not supporting you to potentially what you're doing. So if you've been subordinating to your boss, your job, your whatever, your career, and you haven't been truly listening to that inner voice, that inner guide, you haven't been looking at that perspective and how that channels you to your value, towards your value system. What I'm trusting is that this opportunity is amazing. And it's going to change the culture to one toward more value inspired living, right? So we're not just human, doings, right? Because that's it, right? People are just doing so much crap and they're just so busy. And most of that is downloaded from other people, other ideas. You got to, I got to have my kids in 14 different things because, all my friends do. So I better do the same thing, versus saying, you know what? We don't want to be that busy. We want to have our kids around us. We want to do things with them, and we want to support them that way, and making that conscious choice based on your values to be different, right? Instead of doing stuff, be stuff. I think that's the way it can go if you give it the opportunity.
You know what? I hope so. Fraser, as happens with you and I, we're out of time in no time at all. I don't have any wrap up. I need to scoot here. I have a full plate. And
here, I got it. Listen, like this video, share it with your friends. Definitely, if you want to hear more content like this, let us know. Please leave comments in underneath this.
And we're not afraid of a challenging comment. Tell us how we're full of crap.
You got it. Bring it on. We're happy to listen. Our purpose is to inspire authenticity, not only personally, but professionally, right? So bring it on. This affects every fabric of your life. Try it on, test it, kick some tires, see if it works. Love and appreciate you.
I love and appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being there for me on my journey. I'm grateful for you. I'm inspired by you, and I love you. And here's to more people, not necessarily like you, but for all those watching here, for you to find a Fraser in your life. God bless you, brother.
Yay. You take care. Be well out there, people. Put the visions together.
Have a great day.